Hello and good morning. I can see that a lot of people were early to today's session, so I just thought I'd pile in and say hello. So thank you all for attending so far. Just for the benefit of everyone that's registered, I will wait until like 3 minutes past before kicking things off formally. So now's the chance really to get like your cup of tea, cup of coffee sorted, or just glass of water or something like that. And yeah, I'll look to kick things off at like 3 minutes past, just to allow time for anyone who's going to attend today to join the session. So I'll camera off for now, otherwise it's kind of awkward. But yeah, I'll be back in 3 minutes and then we'll kick off 3 minutes after that. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Just looking at the chat here. So yeah, I think if you can't hear me, I'll type this message quickly. Perfect. Yeah, if we could, perfect. I think a lot of you can hear me and a lot of you can't, which is going to make for a fun session, no doubt. Perfect, perfect, perfect. By the way, guys, so I have invited my colleague Nikki in. So she's just going to sit in the chat for me and answer some of the questions that come through. And yes, you can ask as many questions as you'd like, and I'd actually encourage that. So if there's anything that you'd like to go through, maybe that I won't cover today, please put that in the chat, and then myself and Nikki can kind of come back and forth to it and answer the questions that you do have. You purposely won't be able to unmute, so questions would need to be in the chat, basically just to avoid chaos. So if everyone was allowed to talk or chat, for example, it may just kind of turn into too much chaos to answer questions and things like that. So if it's still okay with you, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And yeah, leaving and coming back seems to be the key to all of this. Okay, everyone. So I'm going to wait still around 2-3 minutes because I can see like a steady stream of people coming into today's session. Just to remind everyone that's here, so this is a basic training for MindView, the mind mapping assistive technology that you're no doubt familiar with in some capacity. And the idea of what I'll go through today, for the benefit of everyone who's here already, is just building out a mind map, going through some of the interface stuff, building out the mind map, all the things you can do in terms of design and the assistive features and accessibility enhancements that are built in as well. Then building out some templates and adding things to our mind map, be it text or images, all that kind of stuff. then going through some of the exports, and then I'll touch a bit more on our AI functionality, which is new to MindView 9. So I understand that you are on MindView 8 there. So I'll be very clear in mentioning what's MindView 8 and what's MindView 9 so it doesn't cause confusion. And also worth noting that MindView 9 features are coming soon for you guys to use. So anything I mentioned there that's version 9, you'll be able to use that then in the coming months. And then just to remind everyone, there's an advanced session on the 19th of June at 11 a.m. If you enjoyed today's session or you just want to kind of expand a bit more on your learning of MindView, the 19th at 11 a.m., you should maybe have received the invite for that, where I'll cover off a lot more in-depth items like the imports, not just export into the Office suite, the imports as well. Calculation feature for cost analysis, where we use a nice Excel export to provide the cost analysis with our resources assigned to the project there as well. Also conditional formatting. We go through a bit more in-depth look at the Kanban and the Gantt views, capture toolbar and task management. So lots of things to look forward to in the advanced session. But just to remind you, yeah, today's the basic session where we'll go through the basics to get you up and running. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at the chat quickly. I think my colleague is dipping in and out of that to help with some of the questions that come through. The session is definitely going to be recorded, and there will be a transcription with that recording as well, so you should be all good to go. Okay, so we've got a good number in now. Yep, I'll go through things at a leisurely pace. I won't go too fast. And if there's anything that you need, please bring it to Nikki's attention in the chat there, and she'll bring it to mine and we can go through it again. Okay, guys, I'm going to give it one more minute and then I'll kick things off. But it's nice to have everyone here, by the way, and thank you so much for your time today to run through this. I think it's really important if you have access to a tool or software like MindView at your place of work, super beneficial then just to go through trainings and be upskilled in its use, because if you don't know how to use something, you tend to shy away from using it. So it's no good for anyone. In terms of how you would access this is something that I'll follow up with. So I don't want to speak out of turn today, but I'm speaking with someone from DWP called Bina, and she's handling this process for me or working with me to kind of roll this out. So she would be your best bet to go to if you want to have access to this or understand what that looks like. Cool. All right, guys, I'm conscious of time. So what I'll do then is kick things off, and my colleague Nikki can answer some of the questions you've got there. So let me know, please and kindly, if you can see the screen. Thumbs up or message, that would work wonders. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. It's always a good place to start, is just checking that you can see everything. So what you're looking at here then is version 9 of MindView. Again, for anyone new that's joined, you guys have access to version 8 currently, but version 9 is on your roadmap to be deployed over the coming months. So any new feature specific to MindView 9, I'll be very clear in mentioning what they are, and any questions that you have on any of this, I'll do my best to follow up with. This is the desktop application for MindView. So the MindView suite comes with the Windows and Mac desktop applications, as well as then the online version and the mobile companion app. The mobile app is something then that's with MindView 9, for example. So you have that to look forward to. And I think it's worth just touching on the home screen here, or the new screen, wherein there's lots of different things that you can look at. So firstly, on the right here, these are other mind maps that users of MindView have opted in to publish, so then people like yourselves can download them or understand a bit more of how to work through construction project plans or SWOT analysis and anything that you might find interesting. So it's opt-in, so you're not going to do this. There's no like data governance or security worries that you need to think about, but it's a nice place then to create a community of users essentially where you can go in, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Chances are if you're working on something, maybe it's a case then that you can just have a look in here and pull from what others are doing. So that's the feature in MindView 9 to look forward to, is being able to see others work and then use parts of it if it makes sense for what you're working on as well. Then you've got your kind of templates on the left here, and I'll show you a bit more of how to build out templates shortly, but The first three, so business, education, and personal, are actually ones that we've built in to support anyone that would look through product development projects and producing a publication or a website, things like that. Also then, company management, skills development's a good one because it'll break down and give you an idea of what you can do with things like delegating and critical thinking and that kind of thing. Motivating people, preparing for a negotiation. There's really cool stuff built into the templates here that you can have a look at. But also then the My Templates folder is where anything that you save as a template is stored. For example, this is really beneficial for any of you that repeat a task weekly or monthly, wherein you just need to make small tweaks to your mind map each time. So we wouldn't have you to start from scratch. You would build it out in a way that you're happy with it, save it as a template, and you can just load that each and every time then and start from where you left off. They're really beneficial, as I say, if you're the sort of person that does the same thing but needs to make minor tweaks weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever it may be. And lastly, then, what you're seeing at the top, there's a real working relationship between all of the different views in MindView. So we'll primarily be going through mind mapping today, and then the advanced session will cover off more in-depth look at the Kanban and Gantt views. But if we were to start with a mind map, build something out like brain dump our thoughts and ideas, but then we want to kind of manipulate that information so it's displayed in a way that, I don't know, someone that we're working with on the project or one of our colleagues is preferable to them. Maybe it's as a Gantt chart. So you can still mind map all of your ideas with the click of a button, then change how that's displayed so it is a Gantt chart or a year wheel or Kanban board, for example. And it works the other way around as well. If you're an aspiring project manager and you're well versed in putting a Gantt chart together, you could start here, but then you're working with someone that's super visual and prefers to perceive information as a mind map. You can change how that's displayed then so they can get a better grasp of what they're working on, because it resonates more with them as a mind map. That's the idea, basically. So kicking things off then, the first thing I just want to draw attention to is why it looks like Word. So currently MindView is the most accredited mind mapping tool out there. And the reason why it looks and feels like the Office suite is a deliberate choice. I think aside from this, what I'll mention now, it looks professional, but also actually then because it should encourage use. It lowers the barrier to entry in using MindView. You know, if it feels and looks familiar, it should encourage you guys then to just get stuck in and start using it. Whereas if it was this alien software, you know, maybe you'd give it a go for 5-10 minutes, already say that it's like not for you and then move on from it. Hopefully this helps with your into using it, basically. And also for disclosure then. So for anyone on the call that may be using this solely as an assistive technology, outside of just the productivity benefits, we don't really feel like then it gives the game away. So you should feel comfortable in using it in a busy setting where you've got nosy neighbors having a look at what you're doing. Just looks like you're doing something fancy with Word, hopefully. So to get started, all you'd need to do is start typing. So I'm going to start my project with a product launch, for example. And then what I can do just by pressing enter is create these branches then. So anything that pertains to a product launch. So I would think of things like sales, marketing, maybe should do some planning for the product launch and the product itself. And then by pressing insert, we can create these sub branches where we can be specific now to product. So set team and set budget. Just to give you a visual of that, if you keep pressing insert, it's going to create these additional levels for you. And if you keep pressing enter, it's going to create additional items on the same level. So enter, additional items, same level, insert, additional levels, and then the delete key will delete anything that you've added in the sequence that you've added it. If you want to kind of brain dump, get your ideas down really fastly, and then kind of press everything, you can do. Or if you just literally want to brain dump, you can double click in this blank space here to focus on getting the chaos of your thoughts down on the page, so to speak, which is actually then your brain's natural way of processing thoughts and ideas. It's not in that linear fashion. It's like writing things out in a Word document. It's more than catered to being creative and brain dumping, essentially. Because what this encourages you to do then is focus on the information first, and then you can always just drag and drop it into the correct place after the fact. And a really nice way of understanding this, so if you're relating this to producing written work or writing a report, you've brain dumped, you start with your central topic, but you want to understand then how that information is structured or its hierarchy. On the Home tab, the ribbon toolbar at the top, This kind of has the most useful items and buttons that you can press for this mind map view. Because what we can do then is just toggle on a numbering scheme, and we'll see that this is how the information is now structured. So we start with 1 and move through to product. If I wanted to go with planning first, I can move this here and then sales last. So essentially then what we have is the structure, but we can change it around any which way that we'd like to. And then if we want to delete things en masse, highlight exactly what it is you want to delete. You can kind of tidy things up as you go along. This is really important for later because essentially what we're doing is creating a table of contents. Planning would be first through to sales. So if you always kind of relate it to writing a report or written work, numbering scheme really helps you understand that. So if you're struggling with understanding, by the way, what a button does, you'll see if I just highlight or hover over any of the buttons at the top here, it'll give me a brief description of what the button does, as well as then the keyboard shortcut for it, if there is one. So the best way to kind of learn this stuff is to get stuck in, press everything, try and break it, or certainly then just click each button and see what happens, what the result is of what you've clicked. However, if you want like a more in-depth help guide with something, press F1, it pulls up the online help guide. So this is where then you can search for anything that you're struggling with. And if there's an answer in this help guide, it'll let you know. So basically, that's how you would start building out your mind map with an idea that you have and then branching off, or by brain dumping. I just want to touch on the fact that the design capability in MindView is really substantial. And for anyone that's mind mapped before, I think it's really important to kind of add in your own color scheme or customize things, because through school, as an example, if you're building out a mind map with different subjects, maybe red then would be for geography, green for history and that kind of thing, maths yellow. But being able to customize it then will help you with memory recall. So you'll remember the information that you inputted into these branches a little easier because you're not then relying on written text. So the design tab here, again on the ribbon toolbar at the top, is where we'll change things on a global scale. Meaning if we pressed anything in here, it updates all of the mind map. Meaning if we want to create something that's more of a work breakdown structure, we can do, or just reorient left to right, right to left. You can choose from a built-in template to how you'd like the mind map to look. And we've got some nice ones in here then that are higher contrast to support anyone with low vision that might be using the tool. Also, for someone that's using this then that might have dyslexia, we know that it's not optimal to work on a white background. Then under page color, again, just under the design tab, we've got some really nice softer pastel colors there, which actually then just calms the page down as well to support other users. And then going like a step further beyond that, if you've been tested for something like illumination and saturation, which may be the case if you have autism, you can actually go as far then as to input your custom RGB number, red, green, blue number, then save this mind map as a template. So it goes back to what I said earlier in that great for repeating tasks where you just need to make small edits, but also then you can save it in your preferable color scheme. So that's just the design tab. And that involves then changing everything on a global scale. If you want to be specific though, to what you change, say I want to make planning a really horrible red color, because then I'll get that sense of accomplishment and completion, and change it to green when I've completed it. But it's my visual cue that, yeah, it's red, so probably needs prioritizing and I should focus on that. I'm just looking at the chat here, guys, so I'm slowing down. If it's still too fast, let me know. But yeah, I'm happy to go and tell at your pace. So I'll continue on. It's too slow, I'll slow down, no problem whatsoever. So design, format pops up then when I click on something specifically. You'll see it's not there. Click on planning, format. This is where I can be specific now to this planning branch. So as per my example there, I want to make a really horrible red color because then to me and my brain and how I work visually, if I see that in my workflow, it means I've just got to get it done. And then when I do get it done, that sense of accomplishment is amazing. So play around with a bit of more customization as well. And if you wanted to create your own template, under Design tab, so globally again, you'll see down the bottom here, Custom Style, and then New. So as you can see with the templates here, that's how you can just spend, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and build something out then in a way that resonates the best with you as well. I've created some wild ones in there. So, you can be really creative and yeah, just go ham with creativity and artistry and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, you can save that as a template. I've mentioned that a lot. So just so you know then, if you want to save a mind map as a template, if, for example, I work on a lot of product launches and I want to save that and load it up in the state that you see on the screen now, exactly the same, ready to use next time. File, save as template. And then it saves it in exactly that state, which is then loaded into my templates folder, or it would be if I press the button, meaning then I can click on it and load it up next time. I should mention, by the way, so, MindView is primarily deployed as an assistive technology, first and foremost, and then it moves on to being like a general productivity tool or boost for anyone that considers themselves neurotypical. So, I want to just touch on some of the built-in accessibility enhancements that we have available and that you would have available in MindView. If you go back to the Home tab here, you'll see firstly we have a built-in read aloud and a built-in dictate function. These are transformative then, and this is actually what makes MindView a great starter toolkit, is that if you don't yet have access to other assistive technologies, speech to text, text to speech, for example, read aloud does exactly that. It reads back the text that you've selected to you in any number of different texts or accents that you can see in there. There's a really nice list, and that's been updated massively then with MindView 9 to include like not robotic sounding voices, actually humanized voices, which always helps, I find. And then the dictate, if we were to select this, it would then just write out or type out exactly what I'm speaking into my microphone here. And either add it in as a branch, if we were to click on this, or text note, which is what I'll show you a bit later on. If you want to understand how Dragon works for this, again, F1 is where you need to go. And then you can search Dragon, and you can search then some of the voice commands that you can use from Dragon to build out MindView. Build out mind maps rather within MindView. So just to recap so far, enter new items, insert additional levels. You've got the accessibility enhancements there, read aloud and dictate on the home toolbar at the top. Design tab is where we'll change things globally. So all of the mind map changes. And then if you want to be specific and change things, format, which will only pop up if you click on one. And then the numbering scheme, home ribbon toolbar, demonstrates to you a bit more of the hierarchy, which is important for later. If F1 doesn't work for you, try pressing Fn and F1 if you have that kind of keyboard. It's the universal Microsoft help guide, that is. So it's not really actually specific to MindView. Yes, and just to reaffirm, this is MindView 9, which I've been told is coming soon. So hopefully you're all with me so far. What we'd want to do now, though, is not spend too much time building out a mind map, because if we're using this as someone that prefers to work in a non-linear way, maybe we're writing a report, we wouldn't just build it out with like headers and subheaders. That's just really weird. So what we would do then is start to add in the information to our mind map. So to do this, again, the home ribbon toolbar at the top. The first thing that we can add in, either by clicking on it, pressing F8, is a text note. And you'll see actually when I click this, it brings up a built-in text note editor, like a word processor. And then at the top here, you'll see something very akin to Microsoft Word appears, where we can kind of add in bullet points or change the text style, add some colors in there. Whatever you'd like to do, basically, you can do in this text note editor, the same as what you could do with Word. Which means actually then I can capture my thoughts really easily for something that I'm inspired on, but then say I need to think of something of sales or someone said something brilliant here. So I can just quickly move over. I can then capture here too. And then I can just move back to planning and know that it saves and retains that information without me having to spam the save key, basically. A good example I like to give here actually is that if you guys are in a busy team meeting or you've been tasked with collecting minutes for a meeting, what you could always do here then is actually build out the mind map based on the project or what you're discussing, or just for people in the room, like your resources, and then just kind of chop around. So unless you're a genius, chances are if your job is to collect minutes for a meeting, you're going to kind of take those notes down as they're said in the room. But chances are then you may forget something, or you're having to waste time digitizing that or typing it up and sending it off to whoever has asked you to do it. So what this does then is kind of condense the timeframes for you to have to do that, because what we'll go through shortly is the export to Word, which adds it down then in a really nice way in the hierarchy that is determined by where we place these branches and sub-branches. You'll know something lives there as well by way of these paper clips that you can see. You'll see there that it's embedded the text note exactly into this planning branch now, or exactly where we'd expect to find it. Yeah, play around with that. There's loads of cool features built into the text note editor specifically, but it's a really nice way then for adding the body text under the headers and subheaders that we've created with our branches and sub-branches. So for example, if I want to add in a text note under this subheader, I would just select this one and then press F8 or text note and add it in that way. Then with dictate, all I would need to do now is just start talking, and you'll see actually it just writes out everything as expected. So basically, there's lots of different ways for you to add the information. I know doing it this way, wherein you use built-in dictate, is really beneficial to someone that might have dyslexia and is worried for spelling, for example. Or actually then it's just easier maybe to compartmentalize certain elements or information specific to setting up team. And it's just nice to speak your thoughts. So, you know, you can add information either by typing it or by using the dictate tool at the top. Just so everyone knows, if there are lots of questions, and it does look like the chat is going wild there, which is brilliant. So keep sending questions, problems, all this kind of thing, because it just helps us learn, develop, and in turn, then it helps you guys learn because we'll run more specific trainings for you. But yeah, blow up the chat with anything that you're struggling with, or if you're having an issue. I'll collate all of that then, and I'll work with Nikki to kind of get answers across to you for anything that we don't have time to discuss now if we miss anything. Hopefully that's okay. As you can imagine, it's pretty carnage in there right now, so we'll do our best. So that's how you would add in text, body text, if we are using this to support with Report Writer. The next thing that we can do, which I think is a really nice feature, is go about adding in topic pictures. And it actually goes back to what we mentioned there with design, customizing something then so it truly feels your own. I think, again, if you branch off or associate information with pictures or colors, it's far easier to remember or remind yourself of what you're talking about rather than just relying on the written text. And that's actually like a proven methodology as well. So if you're a visual worker, you're going to resonate a lot more than with the association of pictures and text. Reduces cognitive load essentially for what you're learning. To do that, navigate to the branch again that we want to add something into. Topic picture. You can see this is just like a graphics and images folder that I've got associated then to MindView. I'm going to put the thinking man in there. You'll see then I can just click on that and it appears above branch for me. So then the idea is that when I think of the thinking man, I'm far easier able to understand the text note and what I inputted into this branch rather than just the word planning. You know, so it's just a massive boost to my productivity then, where I'm just quicker with picking things up and quicker with internalizing them and actually learning anything. The next one here is a really good thing that we can add in. So we can link to different files in like a filing system. This becomes your visual signpost to anything you're working on or that's relevant to the project. And that's an attachment. And this is actually where a lot of law firms kind of dig in and like using MindView as well, is because there's lots of information that they would associate to maybe a case or something they're working on. But as a visual worker, again, it just resonates easier with them, you know, when we plot it down as a mind map. So you've got text notes, that's your text, your body text. You've got your pictures in there to help with memory recall primarily. And now we've got attachments, which just allows us to add in anything else relevant to our project really easily. You can see it's denoted with the paperclip, but also then launch that directly from the mind map really easily as well. In my case, it'll just load my Excel report. It's my annual report. And I can just carry on and do whatever kind of edits I need to here as well. It's just a really cool way of associating files to your greater project, essentially. So have a go with that. You can add in pretty much anything you'd like. And it's super easy then when you're demonstrating this to someone. Say, for example, you've mind mapped a project you're working on and you're demoing it to someone. Adding in these topic pictures and the attachments may be useful then to pull in all of the other things that may be relevant really easily and kind of showcase what you're working on. I should mention, if you are using MindView as like a presentation tool, which is often the case, what you can use or make use of here is focus mode. Again, home toolbar, ribbon toolbar at the top. You can either use F3 as the keyboard shortcut, or you can just click on the button. You press this. It's just a really nice way of kind of following you around the mind map. So then if I'm presenting my product launch, you'll be like, well, this is planning through to marketing, product, and sales, that kind of thing. And you can just toggle that on and off. The next one here is like an assistive feature supportive for anyone that might have ADHD. Just to quickly touch on that before we go through the export. If, for example, you're working on a project with someone, with MindView, you can actually work concurrently. That is something that needs to be okayed with your data governance and security teams and so on. But if you can get this working, or if it's already there, brilliant, because it's kind of like Google Docs where we can all pile in, write something, we'll see others working on it. So why this works so well with apply topic focus is that if I have ADHD as an example, maybe I struggle to focus on exactly what I should be prioritizing for my workflow. What I can always do then is, say it's marketing, that's my job for the group project. I can click on this, apply topic focus, and it just kind of clears the noise of everything else for me, which means then I can prioritize this first, complete it. And maybe then with icons on the right here, I want to add in like a green flag to give myself that visual cue that actually I've completed it. And it lets others know then that I've completed it as well before exiting out of this and clearing the topic focus. So I've got that bigger picture again. This is a really nice way of just breaking down projects you're working on, whilst knowing you still have, planning, product, and sales to work on, but you can prioritize marketing first and get that done. Because we're mind mapping here, it's not linear as it would be with a Word document. You can be a bit more ad hoc with, exactly what you're working on. So that's a good feature. And again, that's just on the ribbon toolbar at the top there. You've got your focus mode, more for presentations. Then you've also got apply topic focus and clear topic focus. Or if you hover over, you'll see the keyboard shortcut that kind of takes you in and out of different sections, basically. So hopefully that's all making sense so far. Hopefully you're enjoying it as well. It's always the same when I'm on trainings and presentations like this as well. It's, I struggle just to pay attention for an hour. So massive congrats and thank yous if you are managing to do it with me, but I totally get it if you aren't. But the thing what we want to do now is just go through the export. So I'm just going to go File, and I'm actually going to cheat here a little bit and use a template that I created earlier. And again, it's something super exciting. It's a product launch. But I'm just going to load it up. It's a bit more fleshed out than the one that we've been working on. But what I want to demonstrate now is how we've lowered barriers to entry for actually starting our report and writing it out, because we're catering to our brain's natural way of processing the ideas that we have, which may be more visual or non-linear, but we're still producing something that is linear that we can then give in to boss, stakeholders, colleagues, whoever has asked us to do that work. Before I do that though, here's some useful keys for anyone that wants to navigate their mind map a little easier than just relying on these sliders. So F4, and again, I can't remember what the outcome of the problem with pressing F4 was, but FN and F1 tends to work. If not, which pulls up the online help guide. But also if you hold the Shift key and the left mouse button, this is how you can move around your mind map a bit more fluidly than just relying on these. If, for example, you're building out something that's a lot bigger than this small product launch, you end up somewhere over here and there's lots to show. You can kind of move around it really quickly or get to where you need to really quickly by holding Shift. Then, if you want to get your zoom, you press Control and either do the trackpad thing like this or do the mouse wheel. I'll say you get your zoom. And the best button of all, this is why I've actually saved it for last, super exciting. So hold on to your chairs, folks. It's about to kick off. But if you are building out a massive mind map, and say, for example, you end up over here somewhere, lost in the chaos of everything you put down, F4 snaps you right back to the center of the mind map. Or actually, it just resizes the mind map 100%, which then if you hold control and work in conjunction with the mouse wheel, so you get some sick zoom on your mind maps as well. So just to recap, shift, left mouse key, move around it kind of crazily. Control, mouse wheel, trackpad, that's how you'll get your zoom. And then F4 is if you're lost and have no idea how to get home, you press F4 and you snap back to the middle of it there. Correct, yes. Just looking at the chat, FN and F4, which is actually what I do. But on laptops that are built differently, F4, F1 tend to work. So whatever you've got basically is what you can do. Okay, cool. So we've added everything. We've built out our mind map. We've gone through some of the design features. We've added in some information. I've cheated and used a template. What I want to do now is just go through a nice export. So if we go File and Export, you'll see this is what we can currently export things out to. It does work with the Google Suite or G Suite as well. And even if actually you just want to send this to print via a PDF or a picture, got a really big printer, you know, you can print it out and stick it on your boardroom meeting wall or something like that. Not so much relying on reading people's handwriting then. You can just print it out and kind of brain dump your ideas, new ideas on that. That's something you can use it for. But if you are using it then to support with writing a report, custom word export is where you need to go. Quick does what it says on the tin. It'll just do that really quickly. Custom word export there is where we can build in a few changes or build in a few omissions from the export without messing with the mind map too much. So firstly, you'll be greeted with different templates. Clean, I think, is very good. Or if you have a company template and you'd want to export out to that, you'd need to use style defined in Word template, something then that you've saved as a .x format or a Word template, and something that you've stored in the folder Documents, Custom Word Exports, it's called. So Documents and Custom Word Exports is where you would save the Word template that you have, your organizational one, or just one that you've created. Then if you want to use that, you do File, Export, Custom Word Export. Click on this button here, and then just find where you've saved that file here, which naturally should be in Documents, Custom Word Exports, which you've saved as a .x format. The Documents, Custom Word Exports, and you'd need to create and save it and actually store it there as .x. If you scroll through, you know, when you can save something, it comes up as PDF or Excel or something like that. So normally that .x is one of the options that you can select, basically. And then the General tab, as I've mentioned, this is where we can make some omissions then, or things that we don't necessarily want to be part of the export without needing to mess with the mind map too much. If I had topic pictures in here, like we used the Thinking Man previously, I can get that out. I can take out any text notes, floating pictures, all this kind of stuff if I want to. If, you know, I don't want to delete them from my mind map. I think that's super useful in that, you know, you're creating out this big visual action plan. You don't then want to like delete too many things from it before you export. Defeats the point of even building out the mind map too much. So to get this box that I'm looking at, I clicked on File, and then I clicked on Export. Microsoft Word, because we're doing the Word export here first, but I'll show you some other stuff if you're interested. Custom Word Export. Then you've got templates, company defined, as per what we mentioned, if you'd like to add that in. General tab is where I'm at now, where you can take out the text notes, take out anything from this export. When you're happy, press Export. Save it, SharePoint, locally, you know, whatever takes your fancy, and save this. And it'll kind of initialize things for us. And I think what's key here, everyone, is that, you know, it produces a professional looking document based on the template you've chosen, of course. But if it didn't, you know, I don't think too many people would actually use it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this looks good enough then where I would be happy to give it in as a piece of work. So the first thing you'll be greeting with is your title page. So that's the product launch. That's the central topic, is now the title of the paper. Author's name, that's me. And then your company logo or your company template or your stylings then, if that's what you chose to do. First page, mind map. I think it's really beneficial as a visual worker myself to leave this in your document before you're ready to finalize and give it in, because it's just easier to understand where to make some edits or where to look as per this mind map, rather than if we delete that, just this linear table of contents. But of course, as with Excel, where we can make some edits really quickly, you can do here as well. So you can just delete it if you're not happy. Then what you'll see is that radial sequence of our mind map is displayed as our linear table of contents, wherein our branches, sub-branches, become headers and subheaders. Then when we scroll down, these were text notes that I saved previously and just used for like today's demonstration. But everything that we would have added in is exactly where we'd expect to find it, where we've added information with whatever we're inspired by first. And if you add in citations or sources for what you're working on, it'll auto-generate that bibliography for you as well. You know, I would actually challenge anyone at this point, whether neurotypical, neurodivergent, anything, to put together as quickly as we would have with using MindView to then export out versus starting with Word, trying to build all this out. If you're anything like me, probably still just be focused on the introduction and how I'd introduce all of this stuff. But what this has allowed my brain to do is maybe prioritize working on the timeline and roadmap before then skipping to sales and fleshing this out, because I have more of an idea of what my sales process is. And then I can come back and kind of work backwards. It kind of caters to creativity a bit more with using MindView, or certainly for visual workers. That's the idea. Hopefully that all made sense. Just having a look at some of the kind of questions in here. It seems like my colleague Nikki is doing good work in answering everything. And I think I saw something with PowerPoint. So yes, I will. I'm going to show you a really basic example of this, just leading to a point I'll make then as well. So with the Word export, it breaks things down as headers and subheaders and all your text notes, your body text, all that kind of stuff. But then if we want to export to PowerPoint, again, we go File and Export, Microsoft PowerPoint. Custom, always do custom. And then I'm actually going to choose blank here, but naturally you can pick a template. You can use your company defined templates again, if you have one. Same process, you'd save it in the correct folder, which is in documents. And then you would just pull it up and find it here, use that. General tab then is exactly the same, in where we can make some omissions and all this kind of stuff. And then when you're happy, press export. I chose blank there, so mine will look not the best, but it breaks things down then in the same way as Word doc, but instead of it being headers and subheaders, it's just different slides in a slideshow, essentially. Then if I open this document, bare bones, granted, you would of course use a template, but again, it's just encouraging you to focus on the information first, which arguably you can do quicker by brain dumping, reorganizing then through MindView. Then with the designer feature here, this is where you can add some flavor to the slides if you're in a pinch, or again, if you're anything like me and you've been given this task to present something, you've left it last minute, panic station is because you've gone present it in 5 minutes and you've not done it. At least then you can focus on brain dumping information with MindView, exporting out, you know, just adding in some design flavors then through the designer feature with PowerPoint. This is if you like me and just have 5 minutes to do it. Hopefully you would spend a bit more time on it if you've been tasked with this. Hopefully that makes a bit more sense. There's other things that we can export out to as well, such as Excel, but I'll save that for the advanced session, just because I don't want to overcomplicate today's basic introduction to MindView. So if you're keen on attending that, it's the one on the 19th at 11 a.m. Love to see everyone in there, by the way, because I think it's taking your learning and understanding of MindView to the next level. But what I want to do now is go through some sick AI features. So I think it's important to demonstrate in a world where we're slowly being taken over by AI, a bit more of how we're using it, just so you can understand then what it's like to use AI. So AI is in version 9. So if you have version 8, you don't yet have access to this. But again, version 9, I've been told, is coming soon. So watch this space. And what it does then is take the central topic as the AI prompt. You'll see the AI button, ribbon toolbar at the top, where we earlier found read aloud, dictate, text note. The home toolbar is the most important one. Central topic is the AI prompt. This is just to create some excitement for if you use this on a personal level, or if your roadmap in the future includes AI. The recording will be published half an hour, maybe an hour, once it renders after the call. And yeah, I'm doing my best to look at the chat. So hopefully I've picked up on some of the new ones there. So if it moves to version 9 and AI tools will be switched off, maybe there's a case that it will be reviewed after I explain a bit more of what it does for you. You can fight the good fight there. Essentially, and without going too much into detail, Dan, because I can see it's a contentious subject, AI is really just there to help you overcome blank page syndrome or writer's block. It's a part of MindView 9. An account administrator can blanket turn this off for everyone. So it's not an issue for deployment or anything like that. But it just means that if I've been given the task to work on a product launch, I can use AI to just brainstorm product launch for me. And you can see it's pretty spot on with what I should think of: planning, marketing strategy, budget allocation, promoting the product development, all the way through to evaluating post-launch. This uses the same engine as OpenAI or ChatGPT. So I don't know how it would ever learn from anything that you would input into it that it can't already find online. It's worth noting that it's not really doing anything with that information, I don't think. But even then, if you wanted to use it for any questions, you can have it to generate questions. You can have it to translate text, which may be good for international companies where English isn't the first language. You can import documents with MindView as well, which is what I'll go through more so in the advanced session. Translate it to a different text, do your own edits, translate it back, export it out. Just encourages cross-collaboration with different teams, I would say. Encourages teamwork. Assistive features here, I think, are some of the best to put forward to your IT team to let them know of the benefit of including this for you. Because if you have dyslexia, you can have it to fix the grammar on anything that you built out. You can even have it to rephrase something. It's often the case that we struggle to understand, but if it's put in a different way, maybe that just resonates better with us. You can have it to simplify something. Again, law firms, they would import documents that are like 300-400 pages long in different cases, scratch their heads. Where do I start with all this information? You know, I'm a trainee. I'm not paid enough for this. But essentially then, you can simplify anything written. So if you've got that nasty paragraph, import it. Use AI to simplify the written text then, which would actually further your understanding on a topic, because you can digest it easier as someone that's neurodivergent, or actually someone that's neurotypical that just prefers to work like that. But also then you can dig deeper on understanding of something as well. So, you know, if you're learning something there at DWP and no one's really being too helpful, but you're nailing it, and then suddenly you want to learn more about it and you want to like put yourself in a good position for doing really well at your job, you would have the AI to expand on anything that's written here as well. So then it provides the steer for you based on the context of what you built out with AI. Then it'll just expand on any written text, be it the text note or any of these branches. Then you'll feel empowered. You can get a step ahead then with actually learning something. Aside from having it rephrased and simplified, you can expand. That's where I'd like to spearhead the use of AI, because let's be fair, 50, 100 years is going to be absolutely everywhere anyway. And the IT and security teams that are fighting it now will ultimately have to cede or be left behind with it. I think it's important to touch on that this is the world we live in now. I think we should use it and harness it to support with our working days, not take over. Nothing that we've gone through with AI here, I don't think, is necessarily taking over. It's more just providing a steer on where you should go with your thoughts. You're chaotic with your thoughts, kind of calms things down for you, reduces the stress and anxiety of what you're working on, and then helps you learn and grow as well. Yeah, so Glean, just looking at the chat, they did just rebrand to Genio. I guess Genio is the company now, and Glean Notes or something Notes may be one of the products there. Kind of cool. Does that all make sense with AI, by the way? I'll kind of look in the chat. I know it's, you know, it's a contentious topic, but does it make sense of what you might use it for? MindView 9? Again, I'll collate some questions and get back to you with some answers there, but yeah, as you can imagine, with so many of you on the call, it's very hard to kind of keep track. So thank the Lord that my colleague Nikki has been able to join here today as well. Yeah, very happy to run these more often, by the way. And I actually think the only way to make that happen is if you feed this back to the powers that be, because without that, everyone just assumes you're all pros. You may well be, but if you still would like some training, regular check-ins, I'm happy to do it. Nikki's happy to do it. So UK South data hosted. That's our data storage location for MindView. So it's all stored here in the UK. Smaller sessions, happy to do that. AI, of course I can repeat. Central topic, AI prompt. Branches off them with anything that you'd like it to, but really with what you've written in that central topic. So if you were to say, how do I create a business plan for spearheading the use of AI at DWP? Sure, it might do that as well, so it's worth checking. It's specific to MindView 9, so you don't yet have access to that. But yeah, fight the good fight, and I think it's coming soon. What I actually wanted to show you now is a bit more of like a teaser of what some of the other views were. I mentioned it earlier, where if you come back to new, there's a working relationship here. In this basic introduction session, we've covered off a bit more of how to build mind maps, some of the useful accessibility enhancements that you have available to you, changing the design, being specific with the design, going through some of the templates, how you save one and then export into Word and PowerPoint. Super useful stuff. But then if we're using this more in a project management setting, maybe we want to manage tasks, MindView is really great then in that you can, as I mentioned, start with mind mapping, but then manipulate or change the information and how it's displayed. For example, I built out my product launch mind map here. I'm not writing a report anymore. I'm not treating branches and sub-branches as headers and subheaders. I'm treating them more as tasks then rolling up into my project of a product launch. To do that, what we do is just click on one, same as anything. If we want to be specific with changing something, click on it, and it's highlighted then with this blue barrier or blue surround. And then if you go to task on the top right, this is where we can add in scheduling information, primarily duration, start and end dates, assign a priority, completion percentage, and even assign resources to this particular part of the project as well, which you can actually link with your Outlook address book or anything else then. So you can pull in people that you work with super easily. Then once you've done that, and then say I want to change how this information is displayed as a Kanban board, just literally click on Kanban, and you'll see then based on the completion percentage, it's assigned it to one of these swim lanes, not started, in progress, and completed. In the advanced session, I'll show you a bit more of how you can add in conditional formatting. So when it's in not started, it's red. When it's in completed, it's green. Sense of accomplishment and that visual cue or visual approach to your work then can be carried over to the different views. But I think this is really great in that, I've mind mapped my idea or the project I'm working on. All my tasks are there. This is MindView 9, by the way, just to stipulate again, MindView 9 is Kanban. And you can just drag and drop all your tasks. This then will update the completion percentage on the mind map view. You don't have to go back and change things. It changes it all across for you. And if you actually click on one, you'll see the branch title on the mind map now becomes the task title. The text note that we added in, either with pressing F8 or pressing the button, has now just provided the description here for my task. And it shows me then high level, duration, start date, its priority, completion percentage. You can save that then, and anything we change here will also be updated in the mind map view. Different swim lanes are available, so not started and progress completed, default. So again, design tab. I like the sticky note design. I think that's the best one, looks kind of cool. But then over here, you can see I can change it to my kind of priorities. So lots, low, normal, high. I've got that visual cue then of what I should prioritize first. This Kanban board is MindView 9, which is coming soon for you guys. Or you can change it then to the resources. So great for managers or, again, the group projects where you can just kind of divvy out tasks. So I'm going to be incredibly mean to Bob just because. But, if I want to equal the playing field for a lot of people, then I can give some to Jane and Steve and so on. But then if we change this view now to our mind map, and then we start to click through any of these tasks, and then with the task panel open, anything we change to someone else will also be reflected in our resources. I think it's super cool in that you wouldn't want to do it twice and that kind of thing. So Yeah, the swim lanes here. So design, if you go to view, sorry, and then Kanban, you'll actually note that view specific tools will pop up here. So in my case, because I'm on Kanban now, you'll actually see that we've got Kanban tools. If we were to change this to a timeline or the Gantt chart, you'll have view specific things, basically. I've just now noticed that there's a Q&A section, so I'll be sure to dip into that one as well. So thank you for your patience in me getting back to you, but I certainly will do after the call. I'll reach out with anything that you're kind of struggling with. The link to the 19th is something that I'll send out in a follow-up email to you. Or actually, if Nikki could find and post that for me, that would be fantastic. But if not, then I'll follow up with it. And then, yeah, just to kind of high level go through some of these views then. So Kanban board, different swim lanes, the swim lane being this vertical. You can move things then through these different verticals where it makes a bit more sense, either for yourself, if you're mind mapping your tasks for the day, adding in some scheduling information you can do, or if you then want to just work on a group project, great to see what people are doing. The police use MindView quite a lot, which I think is quite fun. Basically then what they would tend to do, mind map their ideas, add in a start date, go to the view then of the timeline, and you'll see then against the timeline, we've things plotted on the timeline based on the start date. We can drag and drop. Drag and drop functionality is the same all throughout MindView, by the way. So drag and drop, move things around, typically it works. This is actually where shift, left mouse key comes in clutch. You can really easily move across this timeline then to demonstrate that to someone. And then presentation mode at the top caps it. You can see it starts in June, ends in August. Yeah, guys, this is a basic introduction to MindView. I think for the amount of people that are on the call today, it's super hard to be specific with what certain individuals, may find problematic or what you need help with. But rest assured, if we want to set up some smaller group training for this, more than happy to do it. In fact, I'd love to do it. I think just feedback to whoever oversees a process like this at DWP, because I don't want to step on anyone's toes either. I don't want to, check in with you guys bi-weekly or, too much or what others think is too much. But also I'm very happy to help. So, cater into the masses here, but then anything specific, really would like to work through and book in some sessions there where we can go through smaller groups of specifics. So maybe focus just on the timeline view, or maybe focus a bit more on the Gantt view or the Kanban view and that kind of thing. Which, by the way, goes back what I said right at the beginning, just to show you. And actually, I'll give you a little tidbit here in that I knew nothing about Gantt charts before working here. Nothing at all. Never used one, never had to, never even looked at one, to be totally honest. So if you were to give me this blank Gantt chart here and say, Matt, give me a timeline of exactly what you're working on and what tasks roll in or depend on others and what your critical path is and all this kind of stuff, I'll just scratch my head and tell you I can't do that. What this allows you to do is actually then, in the same process with the Kanban, the U wheel, the timeline, just brain dump, you can then assign task information to it through the MindView panel and then actually just change how it's displayed so it is a project Gantt. Equals the playing field, allows you to work with project managers and the like then, and vice versa, if they are well versed in Gantt charts, but then are displaying something to you as a mind map and so forth. So just to provide a final recap for everyone, this MindView tool at a basic level helps with report writing and any PowerPoint presentations you've got, because it'll encourage you to brain dump, focus on the information, get that chaos out of your head onto the page, overcoming writer's block. Easier in with starting work than looking at a blank Word doc, for example. Super easy to add things to it then, change around, manipulate the information, reorder it, whatever you need to do. Loads of things you can do and be specific with the export. Play around with the buttons, press everything you can. But also then it's a way of like bringing people together and working on something in a way that resonates with you, that may resonate differently with someone else. Like Gantt charts, I can work just as easily with someone that's a pro at Gantt charts because I can do it in the mind map view. Working with someone that prefers to work through tasks through those swim lanes as with the Kanban board, drag them across, super easy then for me to demonstrate this to people. It's a tool that hopefully is inclusive and brings people together as it plays to different people's strengths, essentially. But totally appreciate this is information overload. Hopefully you've enjoyed it all the same though. I will be cheeky. If you have used this before, I would love to gather some feedback from you with this forms. Don't worry about it though. If you haven't got time, it takes 2 minutes, but I get it. I'll happily stick around. I've got a hard stop at 12, so I can stick around for 4 minutes to answer questions for you. Other than that, though, massive thank you for attending. Hopefully it all made sense. I totally appreciate I've thrown everything at you today, but do attend the advanced session on the 19th at 11 a.m. if you can do. I would love to see everyone there and we can kind of build upon what we've learned today. And with regards to smaller sessions, I'll need to speak to the powers that be, but absolutely book something in and support you guys as much or as little as we'd need to. But yeah, thank you again. I'll just hang around really awkwardly staring into the screen then for any questions. As with regards to updating to version 9, I believe that would be with your IT team who have mentioned that it's coming soon. That's all I can say on that one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. No free upgrade, MindView 8, MindView 9, just needs to be upgraded by IT. No paid upgrade. Really, I'm glad people have enjoyed it, by the way. Thank you again. The recording will be published around half an hour after this. And there's a transcription that'll come with it as well. You can download if needs be. Yeah, appreciate it can be a bit overwhelming. There's lots to fit in. So yeah, my apologies for that. Maybe we'll do something on a more personal level then to really get to grips with it with you. That's no problem. No idea to start, just start. Mind map something that is just a hobby. Put your shopping list in it. See what you can do with your shopping list. Yeah, holiday pack list. Be creative. I'm sure there's loads of things. I've built up my maps just on new drum kits I'm looking at buying and the pros and cons then as a text note of each one, pricing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, use it for whatever. Perfect. Well, I'm glad that's the case that you've stuck around. Really appreciate that. Because like I said, my attention span is just absolutely short as well. So, the fact that you've made it to 11:59 is, yeah, testament to yourself, really. There we go. Sheena Mustard. It's the person you need to speak to. The reorder number in, you just drag and drop. So if you started, it starts top right and it works in a clockwise fashion top left. So if you want to reorder, just drag what is number 3, for example, into the spot above number 1 and it'll auto update it to number 1. Again, best advice for just starting is to do just that, just start. Be surprised what you can do with it. The thing is, if you use it more, then it becomes more of your day-to-day. It's not this like scary new software to use. It's more than something that is a supplement or supports your working day. Give it a go, give it a chance. I'm sure it's going to at least boost productivity for you in some way or another. There we go. There's some individual training advice in the chat there for anyone that needs that. Yes, and I will make the cursor a bigger size next time. I can appreciate that would be weird to look at on a white background. Not to my knowledge on the auto open. Best to save as template and make sure it's an online document. So then you just go into your templates folder, load it up, and it's the most recent version based on any workings you've done with it. But I don't think it would launch straight up. I think I can check into though. It's actually, the first time I've been asked that after all this time. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to shoot here, but I just want to thank everyone so much for their time again. I'm just jumping straight into another meeting here. So I'll follow up with everything that we've seen in the chat. Thank you again for attending. And yeah, I hope to see you in the advanced session on the 19th at 11 a.m. Thanks again, guys. I'm going to end the meeting now, but I'll follow up with you all via email and stuff like that. Never stops here, death by webinar, so I'm straight into another one. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.